MX vs. ATV Legends is the 7th installment in a storied racing franchise that pits off-road bikes against four-wheelers and side-by-sides. Let's start with the good. When it comes to driving mechanics, Legends nails the basics, delivering intuitive and responsive steering, clutch, throttle, and stance controls that render realistic results much more often than not. The result is a consistently thrilling racing experience that's easy to learn but hard to master. But don't worry, you'll have plenty of ways to figure things out, as Legend features a nice blend of game modes, including 16-player multiplayer, local split screen, free ride, and a beefy story-driven career option, complete with tournaments and sponsorship challenges. These modes take place on well over 100 different racetracks, ranging from claustrophobic supercross competitions to massive desert wind farms out west and frigid mountain peaks in the east. Speaking of snow, note that the weather effects in Legends are static, not dynamic as I've seen so often advertised. You'll never drive through a sudden rainstorm, for instance, as the environments here are all pre-rendered. And gorgeous, admittedly. Really, despite each race's high stakes, it's easy to get lost in the scenery, as Legends boasts excellent lighting and above-average environmental textures. From a distance. Look closer and you might realize that there's more style than substance to much of the visuals in Legends. For example, the dirt trail your bike kicks up is purely cosmetic. There's no actual terrain deformation, meaning each lap will play more or less like the last one. Rider animations, meanwhile, look stiff, at least until the hilariously bad ragdoll physics kick in. And it took me hours to realize that that disturbing double-jointed elbow popping at the start of each race was actually the revving of engines. As for music, the selection of songs here is fine, if a little all over the place, but it is horribly mastered. Music cuts in and out, has random volume spikes, and drowns out vehicle sound effects on the lowest level. I just couldn't turn it down enough, so I turned it off. Not that the sound design is much better, really. Vehicles sound okay here, but the same choppy audio problems persist, and some of the stock sound effects are just downright bad. Sadly, these quirks aren't unique to the style of Legends, as the longer you play, the more you'll realize that despite having the foundation necessary to become an excellent addictive racer, Legends currently lacks depth and polish across the board. For example, the game's economy is just busted. I was able to afford Tier 3 parts for all 3 vehicle types, thereby maxing out their stats within a couple of hours, a task that would take weeks in other racers. And because each unlockable vehicle has the same starting stats, I feel no incentive to save up for them. This all cheapens the overall experience, and mind you, Legends is not a cheap experience. Launching at $40, I can't help but feel like this game is underbaked and under-delivers on features that fans of the genre have come to expect. Speaking of expectations, I expected exactly nothing from Legends' story and received just that. The plot is super generic, win the races and save the farm kind of stuff, and is punctuated by surprisingly low-res cutscenes. There are a handful of thinly written one-dimensional characters scattered about who inject some decently voice-acted enthusiasm into the story, but I would never recommend this game on story alone. I don't have much to say about the game's simple UI, so let's wrap up with a few words on playability. The load times in Legends are decent, the game boasts excellent camera controls, and besides those animation anomalies I mentioned earlier, I didn't encounter any noteworthy bugs. And what I did see was pretty hilarious. So, in the end, MX vs. ATV Legends delivers on what matters most, racing. For that reason, I can recommend it to fans of the genre, but for everyone else, I would definitely wait for a significant sale. After averaging up our micrometrics, MX vs. ATV Legends earns a decidedly average aggregate megascore of 3.0 out of 5. Until next time, this is Scope, and thanks for watching.